Hello, I'm Dr. David Larson, a urologist and men's health expert. Today, I want to share a story that changed how I approach my work. A 76-year-old man sat in my office, his hands shaking not from illness, but from a realization that hit him hard. He looked at me and said, "I never knew I was causing harm." For years, he'd engaged in a private habit, like so. Many men do, unaware of its subtle impact on his body and mind. He's not alone. As men age past 60, masturbation, a topic rarely discussed, changes. If you don't adapt, it can quietly affect your physical health, emotional well-being, and sense of self. I'm here to share 5 essential truths about masturbation that older-age men often wish they'd known sooner. These insights could help protect your circulation, support your prostate, and renew your confidence. Stay with me until the end. The final truth might transform how you age and live and connect. This conversation is long overdue, but it's not too late. If you're new to Senior Health 365, please subscribe and tap the bell icon to stay updated with honest, age-specific health tips tailored for men like you. In the comments, type 1 if this topic resonates, or 0 if it doesn't. Your input helps me serve you better. Let's dive into the first truth, one that can free so many men from shame. Secret 1. Your erection isn't the full picture of your masculinity. Introducing a patient story to highlight a common misconception. I'll never forget when a 70-year-old patient named George shared his fears with me. "Dr. Larson," he said, "I can't perform like I did in my 30s. Am I less of a man?" His voice carried a pain I've heard from so many men who panic quietly because no one prepared them for how their bodies change. Erections may become softer, slower, or less predictable, and too often, men assume this signals the end of their sexual vitality. Here's the truth I wish every man over 60 knew: your erection isn't the whole story, and that's perfectly okay. Aging brings natural shifts, slower blood flow, changing hormone levels, and nerves that respond more deliberately. This isn't failure, it's evolution. Your sexuality doesn't end, it transforms. Yet society often equates masculinity with performance, leaving little room for vulnerability or adaptation. No one told you that pleasure and connection remain possible without a rock-hard erection. Orgasm and erection aren't the same. You can experience profound satisfaction, intimacy, and release without the response you had decades ago. But because this isn't taught, so many men suffer silently, feeling broken when they're simply navigating a new phase. What matters now is presence, not pressure. When you stop chasing your younger self and embrace your current body, you unlock a deeper kind of intimacy, one built on patience and self-acceptance. I've seen men rediscover joy when they realize they're still whole, still capable, and still deserving of pleasure. This truth sets the stage for the next secret, which reveals how masturbation goes beyond the physical. If this resonates, type 1 in the comments to let me know you're with me. Now, let's explore the second truth. Secret 2. Masturbation is emotional and neurological, not just sexual. Sharing a story to illustrate the deeper role of masturbation. A few years ago, I met Charles, a 78-year-old widower. He came to me not for a physical issue, but because, in his words, "I feel numb inside and out." At first, he thought it was just aging. But as we talked, we uncovered something deeper. Charles masturbated almost daily, not out of desire, but as a way to cope with loneliness, insomnia, and grief. He hadn't realized how much this habit was tied to his emotions. This is a truth I wish more men understood. Masturbation in your 60s and beyond isn't just about physical release. Deeply emotional and neurological. When you orgasm, your brain releases dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin, chemicals that ease anxiety, lift mood, and promote sleep. For many older men, especially those living alone, masturbation becomes a quiet way to find calm or feel connected. But here's the catch. When done mindlessly, it can lose its meaning. Charles's routine had become mechanical, draining its emotional power. We were raised to hide our feelings, to see vulnerability as weakness. So, when masturbation becomes your only outlet for emotional release, it's more than a habit, it's a lifeline. Yet most men don't see it this way. They think they're just clinging to youth. The danger lies in autopilot. If you're masturbating to escape unprocessed emotions, sadness, boredom, or isolation, you may disconnect from yourself over time. But when approached with intention, it can be healing, grounding you emotionally, and supporting your nervous system. This matters more than ever as you age. The next secret takes a different angle. What happens when you stop entirely? Type 1 in the comments if you're still here. And let's move on. Secret 3. Use it or lose it applies. But it's not what you think. Using a patient's story to explain the importance of staying active. I once treated Henry, a 73-year-old retiree who'd started dating again after years alone. He was nervous, not excited. My body doesn't respond anymore, he admitted, ashamed. He thought he was broken, but the truth was simpler. His body had adapted to years of neglect. Henry hadn't engaged in sexual activity, including masturbation, for nearly a decade. Believing it was irrelevant without a partner, here's a secret every man over 60 should know. Your sexual function depends on activity, not just age. Like muscles weaken without exercise, the tissues, blood vessels, and nerves in your penis rely on stimulation. Without it, they can atrophy, circulation slows, elasticity fades, and sensitivity dulls. No one warns you about this gradual shift until it's noticeable. Henry's story isn't unique. Many men assume sexual health only matters in relationships, but that's a myth. Regular, gentle stimulation without pressure keeps your pelvic tissues healthy, supports blood flow, and maintains nerve function. Henry started reintroducing mindful masturbation, and over time, his body began to respond again. It wasn't instant, but his confidence returned. Neglecting this part of yourself isn't harmless. It signals to your body that it's no longer needed. But the good news? It's rarely too late to reconnect. Consistency and patience can reawaken what's been dormant. The next secret, however, warns of a habit that might be working against you. If these truths are hitting home, comment 1 below. Let's keep going. Secret 4. Porn might be dulling your senses without you noticing. Highlighting a modern challenge with a patient example. Last year, I worked with Frank, a 69-year-old divorcee. He described feeling disconnected during intimacy, even with himself. Nothing feels as good as it used to, he said. As we dug deeper, Frank revealed he relied heavily on porn for stimulation, a nightly habit he saw as harmless. But it wasn't. This is a critical truth for older men. Porn can rewire your brain, dulling your response to real intimacy. As you age, your brain becomes less adaptable. Years of high-intensity porn can flood your system with dopamine, training it to crave extreme visuals over natural sensations. Over time, real touch, whether from a partner or yourself, feels flat or insufficient. This shift is so gradual that most men don't notice until it's advanced. Frank didn't realize his porn use had dimmed his imagination and sensitivity. It wasn't about morality, it was about biology. We worked on reducing his reliance on porn, encouraging him to focus on his body's sensations and memories. Within months, he felt more present, more alive. Porn isn't inherently evil, but when it dominates, it can steal your ability to connect authentically. Stepping away can restore what's been lost. The final secret ties everything together with a powerful truth about self-care.com at 1 if you're still with me. And let's uncover the last secret. Secret 5. Masturbation can be self-care, not shame. ending with a story that reframes masturbation as vital. One of my most memorable patients was James, a 77-year-old widower. During a checkup, he hesitated before asking, "Is it wrong too?" Still, at my age. His embarrassment was palpable, as if he were admitting a flaw. James had stopped masturbating after his wife's passing, believing it was inappropriate. For years, he denied himself pleasure, thinking it was no longer his right. Here's the truth I wish every older man knew. Masturbation in your later years isn't shameful, it's a vital act of self-care. Done mindfully, it supports prostate health by clearing fluids, boosts circulation, and releases mood-lifting chemicals that combat stress and improve sleep. But beyond biology, it keeps you connected to your sense of self, your desire, your identity, your aliveness. When James's wife died, he shut down this part of himself, believing it was over. But that choice fueled his loneliness. We talked about reclaiming this act not as a youthful indulgence, but as a way to honor his body. Slowly, James began to feel again. His mood lifted, his energy returned, and he felt whole. Society often tells older men to fade quietly, to suppress desire. That's a lie. Your need for connection and pleasure doesn't vanish, evolves. Masturbation can be a way to say, "I'm still here. I still matter." Conclusion: tying it all together with a call to action. Thank you for staying with me through these 5 truths. They're not just medical insights, they're lessons from real men who wished they'd known sooner. We started by debunking the myth that your erection defines you, then explored how masturbation is emotional and neurological, not just physical. We saw how disuse can harm and how porn can disconnect you from real intimacy. Finally, we reframed masturbation as a lifeline, not a liability. You're not alone in navigating these changes. Your age doesn't erase your right to feel alive. If one of these secrets spoke to you, comment below and share which one. Subscribe to Senior Health 365. For more honest guidance tailored for men over 60, share this video with someone who needs it. You might spark a life-changing conversation. Your story isn't over. There's vitality, connection, and strength ahead. Let's keep breaking the silence together.